The focus of this video is new key performance indicators, KPIs. The industry continues to look for the ability to measure whether a compliance program is effective, ways to detect future signals of risk, and evidence to prove that compliance programs are relevant to the business. The need for new KPIs was discussed at the 2013 Compliance Congress in Washington, D.C. CCC has developed two KPIs that address two specific vulnerabilities. The first vulnerability is basic regulatory knowledge gaps related to compliant promotional materials and campaigns, both development and execution. The KPI is a test score that measures how well a person understands the regulations. The second vulnerability is promotional review process gaps that put the company at risk and create inefficiencies. The KPI is a promotional review alignment score that measures alignment with a company's corporate compliance and regulatory policies. CCC developed these KPIs in response to data culled from 3 2010 quantitative surveys, 2 2013 podium presentations, over 5,000 certification test scores, and input from industry experts and dozens of warning letters. Despite the time and money that companies spend on regulatory excellence, knowledge gaps and process inefficiencies can still be hidden vulnerabilities. However, by instituting new KPIs, these gaps can be identified and eliminated. In this way, your company's investments in compliance oversight and promotional review rigor won't drain away, and that means decreased risk, greater profitability, and stronger business growth. As you will see as we move forward, data show that these vulnerabilities have a high cost. They hamper compliance and commercial effectiveness, wasting $2 million and more for every 10 brands. Let's take a closer look at the first hidden vulnerability, regulatory knowledge gaps among marketing professionals and their promotional agency account teams. Data show that promotional regulatory professionals lose as much as 40 hours per month rewriting non-compliant promotional materials submitted by vendors without proven acumen in regulatory compliance fundamentals. This is more than 25% of a regulatory professional's time. These data do not include time lost to rewrites experienced by a company's legal, medical, or marketing functions. In practical terms, that means a company with 15 people combined working in these functions, as is common for mid and large-sized companies. These rewrites can result in more than $1 million in waste annually. On top of that, calculations show that agency vendors executing promotional campaigns lose between $100,000 and $150,000 per brand per year, rewriting their own promotional materials deemed as non-compliant by the client. Most large brands work with multiple agencies such as advertising, public relations, and digital, so these figures can quickly add up to another $1 million in wasted time. Again, keep in mind that these figures don't factor in the regular fees billed by agencies for developing the original materials they thought were compliant. This waste is no surprise. The data show that marketing and agency professionals at every level, even senior executives, are incorrectly answering basic regulatory test questions. This clearly shows knowledge gaps on such fundamental issues as risk communication, reminder and disease state awareness ads, and consulting agreements with spokespeople, among other topics. In addition, when asked, marketing teams and their agencies often disagree with regulatory on how to implement key initiatives within compliance, which leads to more waste. Disputed topics include digital initiatives, public relations tactics, media tours and press releases, promotional education tactics, speakers bureaus and slide kits, and ad boards. Let's connect the knowledge gap findings to the testing KPI. Imagine establishing a benchmark for regulatory literacy among marketing departments and promotional agencies of record. This is a quantitative measurement of their ability to correctly answer fundamental questions about the compliant development and execution of promotional materials and campaigns. From there, you can measure any changes from that benchmark yearly to identify progress or areas that may still need additional training. Test scores are a diagnostic tool because they telegraph whether existing education is effective. They are a prognosticator because they telegraph areas of future risk from promotional review knowledge gaps. Finally, they become a financial cost indicator because they telegraph how much the business loses from unnecessary rewrites of non-compliant materials. The second KPI, the alignment KPI, enables companies to identify and measure vulnerabilities that may exist within the promotional review process. Experts say that there are over 1 dozen review parameters that need to be considered when determining whether a promotional piece is compliant. What's more, there are as many as 200 queries associated with these review parameters that could be considered during the review of a core campaign. However, review comprehensiveness and efficiency can easily be derailed by individual levels of experience and expertise. For example, a former FDA official working in OPDP will approach a review with an entirely different perspective than a junior reviewer. Busy schedules can also lead to overlooked potential violations. Plus, it's challenging to ensure alignment, consistency with corporate compliance and regulatory policies when there is no checklist to follow. Now let's look at the promotional review alignment KPI in action. In this case, you can establish a benchmark for comprehensive promotional review based on a proprietary web-based algorithm that acts as a checklist for the optimal promotional review. The algorithm can quantitatively measure the ability of the promotional review team to perform a review that is in alignment with the company's risk tolerance in an efficient manner. The algorithm can also be used as a pre-review mechanism by marketing and the promotional agencies, as well as a training tool. Like the testing KPI, the promotional review alignment KPI is a diagnostic tool because it telegraphs whether the components of a compliance program, specifically promotional review excellence, is optimal. It's a prognosticator because it telegraphs the existence of risk related to non-compliance by isolating process vulnerabilities. And it is a financial cost indicator because it telegraphs whether the process is efficient, and if not, what promotion materials, campaigns, or ideas were not executed because of a process educational knowledge gap. These two KPIs turbocharge commercial effectiveness by increasing efficiencies and impact. Companies are more efficient when they reduce the number of rewrites required for heavily redlined marketing materials. Fewer rewrites shorten reviews and reduce the number of cycles. There is less strain on human resources, which takes time away from a focus on optimizing claims. In addition, agencies save time overall in each campaign by submitting promotion materials that are compliant earlier in the process. Companies experience greater impact for a number of reasons. More big ideas are executed because fewer ideas are completely out of compliance. The promotional review team isn't wasting time on rewrites, but instead are optimizing claims. Plus, they can review more campaigns waiting for approval. The KPIs also increase compliance, efficiency, and impact. Companies are more efficient because it's easy to determine if promotion practices and processes are trending in the right direction. Plus, you have less duplication and redundancy. Companies have increased compliance impact because reviews are more thorough, risks are identified earlier, and there are more best practices to apply. Here are 2 ideas for metrics using CCC KPIs. You can measure the percentage of the marketing budget that has been increased by converting wasted agency fees to the production of more promotional materials. Or you can measure the number of promotional campaigns or materials approved by the team, X%, without compromising review comprehensiveness. To launch a KPI initiative, there are several best practices based on CCC's experience with some of the industry's leading companies. Our clients typically require their promotional agencies to pass a test to certify mastery of regulatory fundamentals. Agencies are now proactively investing in their own regulatory compliance education as a commitment to a strong client relationship. This paves the way for a new industry-wide practice, agency competency testing with no chargeback. Companies also tend to implement agency testing concurrent with their marketing department. In addition, companies often ask agencies and marketers to train before testing. Partnering internal and external stakeholders in the educational program creates an extremely powerful dynamic for the organization. From there, companies can begin to quantify the benefits using the CCC test KPI and the alignment KPI. These best practices increase promotional innovation and creativity. Testing immediately gets everyone on the same baseline of knowledge, making conversations about promotional materials more efficient, focused, and productive. The promotional review team can then reinforce the value of involving their functions earlier. The best ideas emerge when all departments are aligned. These metrics can be easily executed, especially if your promotional agencies are on this chart. These firms are either asked by their clients to test with CCC, or the agency is proactively committed to invest in this confirmation of their regulatory competency. In either case, making testing a requirement for agency of record status is supported by a business case and will lead to reduced risk and cost. Our ideas are designed to create the ideal scenario, an environment that supports, protects, and grows the business while serving patients and overall public health. This requires creating a healthy tension within the organization where risk is managed, compliance effectiveness, and sales are increased, commercial effectiveness.